Money.
The number one cause of divorce is
money. So by playing the cash flow game, you learn assets from liabilities. You know, sometimes I hear couples say, oh, she spends too much, he spends too much. Oh, he doesn't make enough. Oh, she doesn't make enough. There's this argument that's constantly going on because they don't have the definition of asset and liability. They think their liabilities are assets. So money is such a volatile subject that couples need to learn it together. So play the cash flow game together.
And what we also see, and this often happens, is, you know, a husband, this is how their cash is flowing, coming in and going out.
Right.
So the husband will say, well, she spends too much money. Or the wife will say, well, he doesn't make enough money. And that's why they have nothing down here.
Right.
Or if they have anything, they have a lot of liabilities.
So one more thing I want to say about couples and money is this, is that when Robert and I started acquiring assets, we lived in the small house. It was a nice house, but it was a small liability. And our cars were not these Ferraris and Lamborghinis. We had the small house with a small liability as our car so that we could acquire more and more assets. Our friends who were making a lot of money kept saying, oh, why don't you buy the big house? Why don't you buy the fancy sports car? Is what they did. So today our friends have the big fancy houses, the nice cars, their kids are in private schools. They have a lot of what we call bad debt or liabilities.
But they look good. They look rich. But they're hemorrhaging out the liability column through the expense column.
So today, Robert and I acquire assets, cash flowing assets that put money in our pocket, into our income column. Assets such as apartment buildings that throw off cash flow, businesses that throw off cash flow, oil, gas, things like that, all producing cash flow that puts money in our pocket. Money in our pocket, whether we work or not. So this is why we can never be fired, because we don't have jobs. And that was the plan from day one. This is why financial education is so important for women, because with financial education, you don't need a man. I mean, look at the divorce rate today. 50% of marriages end in divorce. Women outlive men by so many years. And oftentimes women, as they get older, find themselves in a financial crisis. So for the women out there, I encourage you to get financially educated, because with financial education, you do not have to depend upon somebody else, such as a husband or a man, to take care of you. You take care of you. So when I met Robert's rich dad,
he was quite a character.
He was quite a character. He was not what I expected, but he taught you very well, didn't he? Yes. So when I met him, so our business was up and running, and Robert and I were here in the S quadrant. And the business started doing very well, and then Robert encouraged me.
Well, I said it's now time to invest.
He said it was time to invest. So when you started talking to me about investing, it was pretty daunting. I was a little scared because, you know, my dad and everybody around me, all they invested in was stocks, bonds, mutual funds.
And savings.
And savings.
They were very passive investors.
Yes.
So when I said...
You're talking now about real estate and
other types
cash
of
flow and being an active investor.
And bless her heart, Kim was terrified. But again, she was willing to listen to me. I taught her what my rich dad taught me.
Yep.
And what was your first investment?
Well, my very first investment, you said, okay, go out there and do it. And I'm like, oh my God. So my very first investment was my little greenhouse. Little 2-bedroom, 1-bath house in Portland, Oregon. And I was pretty scared going into it because it was very unknown. I was learning a lot. I was scared even to sign the paperwork. I had to put money down. What if I lose money? What if I make a mistake? All this stuff was running through my head. But finally, I bought that first little house. And every month, this little house generated a whopping cash flow of $25 a month. And I started. That was my first investment.
And the lights went on, and I created a monster.
I enjoyed it. I got it. I understood it.
And you had a goal of what?
I had a goal of buying 20 rental properties in 10 years.
So 2 a year.
2 a year. So at the end of 10 years, we'd have 20 properties, and we would be financially free.
But once she caught on, she did one, 2, and 3.
Yes.
And then you knew
And
the
then
game.
I knew the game.
It is playing Monopoly.
It totally is Monopoly. So instead of taking 10 years to buy those 20 properties, it took 18 months to get those 20 properties.
And today, how many units do you own? How many little greenhouses
Little
do you own?
greenhouses, over 6,000 little greenhouses.
And 6,000 little greenhouses
Yes.
are putting money in your pocket every month.
Every month, from the asset column to the income column, every month.
And that's why she's qualified to write the book Rich Woman, because she really is a rich woman, because she actually has investments in the asset
I
column.
have the greenhouse, the
Yeah.
greenhouses, but we also have,
Then you bought your,
then we bought the Red Hotel, just like Monopoly. So we play Monopoly in real life every day.
and this is a picture of her real life. Big, and it's very big, Red Hotel.
So every year, Robert and I add more and more assets into our asset column that produces more and more cash flow into our income column.
So today, Kim owns commercial buildings, sports clubs, golf courses, and oil wells.
We own.
We own.
We own.
I give you credit.
And this is why, because of the financial education, this is why we'll never need a job. This is why I'll never need a man. And without financial education, we could not be playing Monopoly in real life. So women, I encourage you to invest in your own financial education. Come on, we're not living in the age of you Tarzan, me Jane anymore. It's time you take control of your life. It's time you get financially educated. And it's time for you to start investing so that you do not need somebody else to depend upon to take care of you. You take care of you. So people ask, how is the cash flow board game different from Monopoly?
And let me give you the answer to that, because I'm very proud of this game that Kim and I developed back in 1996. And what makes cash flow different than Monopoly, but also more powerful, is this here. It is a financial statement. In many ways, this is your game card. It's that picture put onto paper. So Kim and I personally, we have an electronic game that does the math for you. But we think for learning purposes, the board game's better, right?
This really is the game right here. This truly is the game, because as you play, you're actually following how the income, expenses, assets, and liabilities work, how it all flows together.
You actually have to write numbers down, your rate exchange and all that. And it's that doing this that actually sinks the lesson of cash flow into your head. Because you're constantly trying to stop the cash flow from flowing out, but the cash coming in. So financial education requires you know how to have cash flowing into the asset column, not out through the expense column. So the other thing about this is my rich dad always said to me, he says, my banker has never asked my report card yet. My banker does not care what school I went to. Has a banker ever asked?
Never. I was waiting for them to ask, but they never asked.
The banker ever asked for your grade point average?
Never.
No. Banker
couldn't
doesn't
care less.
I was a C student. This is what a banker asks you for. They want to see your financial statement. You see, if I could show you this here. For these people here, you don't need a financial statement. In America, it's called a FICO score. That's all those guys have. But the moment to come over here, you must have this. This is what your banker wants to see. This financials tells a banker how smart you are with your money, right?
That's exactly right.
And because we have so much, at first we had nothing here.
Right.
And it was really hard to get loans.
We got turned down a lot. We got turned down all the time.
Right. But once this packed and filled up today, bankers call us wanting to give us money.
Because we've proven we know what to do with it. We've proven how we can pay the bank back.
Yeah, we're trustworthy with the bank's money. So when somebody says to me, well, the bank won't give me any money, the primary reason is you don't have one of these things. If you don't have one of these things, which is required for the B and the I side, the banker really doesn't want to talk to you because he does not trust you to be a professional business person or investor. So this is what makes the cash flow game different than Monopoly. This is it. This is a financial statement. It's a statement of income, statement of balance sheet, and statement of cash flow. Cash flow and Rich Dad, Poor Dad are some of the most sophisticated educational programs for financial education. It is required to understand this if you want to move from this side to this side. The financial statement is the key.